All aboard! Hello and welcome to this edition of Shaky Hands Shed, where we'll be restoring the Hornby Dublo Southern R1, and it's very battered. It's got a smash on top of the tank there. It has a cracked chimney top, half of the rear buffer beam's missing, and it's a non-runner as well, so there's quite a bit to do on it. And start off by opening it up, and it's done with a screw down the chimney on this one. And there we are, the chassis and the motor, and I check if it's working. It wasn't, as it goes. The chassis was jammed up with old lube that had gone solid. As it goes, the magnet's a strong one, as shown there. So I decided to take the motor out, because I knew it was the lube in the chassis. A lot of people say this lube does it, that lube does it. I'm not a great believer in that. I believe the most dangerous thing is leaving them not running them. This one hasn't been run for 7 years, I'd guess. If I'd have run it, it'd have been serviced regular and lubed regular. Irrelevant to what the lube was, it had still been going. Anyway, testing the motor there, and the motor's a runner, so it's obviously in the chassis. But even so, I stripped the motor down for a good clean up. After all, these Hornby Dublos are very aged machines now, so it deserves a good clean up. I give the copper and brass fit, the brass commutator and the brass worm gear a good scrubbing, doing in between the lines, getting rid of old carbon. I also washed it down with mats, then I polished the commutator with Solvo water sol and the worm dry with Solvo as well. Give them all a good cleaning. Well, a clean and a polish. The mats will have done the clean and the Solvo would have done the polishing. There we are. After I've done the polish, I go over with mats again. And at this point, these are the end of the motors, and in there's a ball bearing. I'm giving it a good wash out with mats, and I re-lube it with a bit of motorcycle spray grease. I just dabbed it in the hole for the ball bearing with a cocktail stick when I did it. And there we go, that's been cleaned out with mats. And here I'm rinsing out the chassis with mats. Dissolving the old lube. Ready for new lube to go in. Well, give it a wipe over and new lube in. While they're out, I cleaned the contacts as well and polished all the contacts. I polished the wheels. As we can see here, what I'm using is a nylon brush on my Dremel. I'm not using brass or copper, I don't want them to scratch the wheels. The nylon's better. It's a lot softer than the metals involved. And there we go, the wheels are polished. And what I'm doing at this point, I knocked the green connecting wire off, so I'm resoldering it back on. Yeah, during the strip down and the build up, I knocked the wire off, so I've had to resolder it back on, which was no great hardship. Key to any soldering job is cleanliness, and in the back there you can see a decent quality solder, flux rather, decent flux and decent solder, and it's easy enough. It's just a bit of a pain with me having shaky hands. I have to use stuff to help me position things. Like here I used some tweezers and used the actual solder I was using to position the wire where I wanted it to go on. Anyway, here's the chassis, having a good run. And slow speed's nice. Nowhere compared to today's offerings, but still good. Lovely smooth loco. And here I've been polishing. Now the chassis right, we're making a start on body. I've polished the whistles there. Now I'm giving it a good scrub, get rid of all the dirt. I'm just using hand soap there, one of the ones out of the pump containers, and here I'm using JB Weld. I've put some insulation tape on the outside for something for it to hold on to, that I can build the filler up against, because it's in a bit of an awkward area to fill. And I did do 2 layers. It was a bit much to get in one go, so I had to do another layer on top to fill it and get the shape better. This is the initial layer. I did another after. Like I say, you're not going to get it in one shot, so don't even try doing 1 layer. Get a decent layer on, or as much as you can, to the shape, and it'll probably be a bit dipped down or whatever. You'll not get the full depth, so then once it dries, do another layer. But it worked, it did the job. In fact, it more than did the job, it's a really tidy job. And at this point I'm super gluing the chimney on and clamp. I actually used the JB Weld for a crack in it. So it looks a lot better now. Anyway, at this point we're tackling the brake on the buffer beam. I've filed it square and I've cut a piece of good thickness plastic card out. You can get various thicknesses of plastic card, but there we are. I've just put it in a bit oversized. The idea there, yeah, you can see that shaped up lovely. Now I've sanded it down. Shaped up lovely. The buffer beam has been cut down and sanded to shape, and I've marked it way across there. I'm doing a pilot mark so I can hand drill it out, and there we're hand drilling the hole for the buffers to go in. I got some HORNBY DUBLO replacements from Peter's Spurs. They were a little bit different, so I put 2 new ones on the back and the 2 old ones are on the front. And it looks good. Can't tell the difference once you look at it. But here I've just put a little bit of dab of super glue in with a bit of wire, then put the buffer in, and Bob's your auntie, Fanny's your uncle. Modern days. Yeah, you've got to have equality. And here, what I'm doing is I'm spraying it with some pound shop pound shop satin black. It's quite nice paint. The can wasn't spraying to its utmost, but even so it still did a passable job. It's all black, so what can you say? There's not a lot of colour matching or you can do wrong with black, unless you do grey. And here I'm screwing the body back onto the chassis. I had to do a little bit of cutting down on the back end of the steps, because I thought, why won't it run? And the connecting rods were hitting a bit of the moulding support at the back of the steps, so I had to cut it down a bit, but hey man, it works. The steps are still on and now the connecting rods pass by it. And here we're painting the buffer beams, painting them vermilion or scarlet, whatever you want to call the colour. It's like the orangey red, like not just a normal red, you want vermilion or scarlet. Something nobody ever told me when I was younger. And I'd buy Humber red and expect it to be bright, and it never was. That's because the actual brighter reds are vermilion and scarlet. And what I'm doing here, I've got some replica railways transfers for the ferret and dartboard. Technically it's a lion and wheel, but the nickname was the ferret and dartboard. I did the numbers, one side, me shaky hands, this side isn't too bad. The other side, when you see it on the turntable, isn't perfect, but I'll get round that with weathering. And there we are, lovely running. Backwards and forwards. Or backwards and forwards. There we go, lovely slow speed. Anyway, here we are on the roads, isn't it? And as you can see, the buffer repair's lovely. The top of the tank's a lovely repair. And it could do with a bit of detailing, such as a hook and a 3-link coupling or whatever, chain coupling on the buffer beams, and maybe vacuum pipes and stuff like that, and a bit of weathering, especially to hide the numbering on this side that I screwed up, but a little bit of weathering on the back end of the bumper will cure that. Anyway, it's come a long way, looks a lot better. Thank you for watching, and if you've subscribed, thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed, why the hell not? It's free! Don't cost you anything. And if you subscribe, press the bell icon. And even better, whoever watches and enjoys, give me a thumbs up. Thank you everybody. And tatty pie everyone. Tatty pie.